you a business owner who's fed up with feeling like you have to be a boss babe CEO, whatever the hell that is, or hustle 24/7 in order to be successful? Well, if you're ready to do things in a smarter way, welcome to Life in Business. This is the podcast for women just like you who want an easy and effective way to grow your business that's built around genuine work-life balance and not a multi-million-pound empire. I'm your podcast host, Libby Langley, award-winning business coach and known as the Ease Queen because of my sensible and easy-to-implement ways to earn more by doing less. In Life in Business, I'm going to share with you how to make small but effective tweaks, how to be confident in your business decisions, and how to make a healthy and guilt-free profit doing exactly what you love most without working 14 hours a day. So get ready to make your dreams a reality. Here's this week's episode. Hello, my lovely. Thank you for joining me today. Got a question for you. Are you prioritising happiness in your business? Sounds like a bit of a weird question, that one, doesn't it? Because, you're in business. Business means you need to be business minded. You need to be business focused. You need to always be thinking about money. You always need to be helping people. But are you prioritising your happiness? And I ask this question because your happiness ultimately is the only flipping thing that matters in your business. Because if you're not happy, what the hell is the point in having a business? You might as well get a job that pays you a nice annual salary, that you get paid annual leave, you get a pension, you get all that shizzle, sick pay. What else do you get when you're employed? Loads of things. But you're choosing to run your own business instead. Yay, you. But if you're not prioritising your happiness, and if you're not happy, go get the job with all the perks that you get in the job. That's what I'll say. So let me tell you how you can go about prioritising your happiness, because, as I've said, it's the most important possible thing in your business. How do you know if you're prioritising it, though? Okay? So here's some kind of practical things that you can think about. That's what I'm going to talk to you about today. Some practical things that you can think about to determine whether you are kind of prioritising your happiness or you're just doing what you think you should be doing. And that's the curse of business owners the world over. Doing what we think we should be doing without really being conscious of what we're doing. And we're going through the motions and we're doing the things, but what I want to do is to make you much more mindful of the things that you're actually doing and with your happiness as the big fat reason behind all of this. And it's not selfish to prioritise your own happiness, because if you ain't happy, no one around you's happy either. And, we all want to live in a happy world and make our families happy and make our friends happy. And by knowing that we are just radiating this gorgeous inner happiness, oh my goodness, we're going to be a shining light, and it's going to be easier to get clients, and your friends are going to love you even more, and your partner's going to love you even more. Or if you haven't got a partner, you're going to find a partner because you're radiating so much happiness that everybody's going to want a piece of that. But it has to start with you, and it has to start from inside you, and you're the only one who can control this. So practical things that you can do to prioritise your happiness. You can work to your own schedule. That's a practical step you can implement in your business. And by that, I mean work when you like, basically, because who says you have to work 9 to 5 in your own business? Nobody. That's something from the corporate world. It's some kind of weird hangover that we carry into our own businesses. You set your hours. You set your days. And depending on how your business works, there might be client-facing work, so you need to be available at times when other people are available. But if you want to work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, fine. You work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you're in charge of that schedule. And if you only want to have client-facing work on Mondays and Wednesdays, that's fine. You set those rules. You decide. And if Thursdays is an absolute precious day for you, where you do something else or you don't work, you stay in bed all day, you read your book, you go out for a walk, you see your friends, you whatever. You set that schedule. You decide what your weekly schedule is going to look like. And nobody can tell you that you're doing it wrong. Absolutely not. I talk a lot about working less and earning more. But one of the things about working less or setting stricter parameters with when you work is actually that you're a darn sight more efficient. Now, if you think back to, when you had a job, when you're in employment, those few days, couple of days before you go on holiday, you could achieve in those days what you didn't think was possible because you wanted to get everything off your plate and clear before you went away, right? If you're choosing to work, say 4 days a week or 3 days a week in your business, you will be probably just as efficient as if you were working 5 days a week because you'll just get stuff done more quickly. So actually, just by saying, I work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it is, then you'll find that you're not actually losing that much work time because you'll be more efficient, but you'll be gaining a ton of time to do the other stuff. I try not to work on Fridays. That's the way I set my business up. I don't have any client calls on a Friday, never do those on a Friday. And if I do work on a Friday, it's because I'm in a really busy period. So I might be launching something, I might be launching a new freebie, or certainly when I was writing my book, Fridays was a day when I focused on that. So it's non-client facing work that I do on Friday. If I do any work at all, and if I don't, that's great because I know that I've done my client work and my support is always available via Voxer. But that's not kind of classed as client facing in the same way. And so I can just be guilt-free. I can be guilt-free, have guilt-free time off because that's the way I've structured my business. And they've got strict kind of boundaries there in place. And my clients know about these boundaries. They know that when we're scheduling our calls, we have them on set days of the week, mutually agreed, but it's never a Friday. And I did have a client say to me, we had to rearrange our normal session because we both kind of there was a bit of a clash going on, which is unusual, but it happens. And so my client said to me, "Oh, can we do it on Friday?" And I said, "No, I don't do client calls on Fridays." And we kind of laughed because she said, "Well, there you are sticking to your boundaries," which is one thing that we'd been talking about in that session. And that was fine. So no, I can't do Fridays. So we did it on Wednesday or whenever we did it. But that's okay. If you just put those boundaries out there, then that's just the way it is. And people don't question it. It's actually, there's so much clarity there that it's actually kind of easier for people to understand, to know what you're doing. And it might be that you put something like this at the end of an email. You might put, my working hours are so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. Fine. Everybody knows. There is zero wrong with doing that. And the trouble in your own business is that you feel you need to be accessible 24/7. Now, I am accessible 24/7 to my clients via Voxer, but that doesn't mean I'm going to respond 24/7. And that's the important difference. Hello, my lovely. My book, Life in Business, is available to buy now. It's full of my experiences over my 11 years in business to give you the advice, real talk, love and support that you need to help you work less, earn more and embrace true happiness in your business. It's the book that you need right now, today. So go to libbylangley.com/book and get your copy now. So my Voxer channel is always open to my clients. They can message me at 3:00 in the morning if they've got something that they want to get off their chest or an idea they've just had put out there. That is absolutely fine. I will not be listening to that message at 3:00 in the morning because my Voxer alerts are silent anyway. So it wouldn't wake me up, but my phone's always on silent all the time anyway. And then I respond in the time frame that's kind of agreed for my responses. And it might be that that's at 7:30 in the morning because I see it and I think it, and yes, I need to respond. But it might be that it's 2-3 hours later on in the day, and that's okay. It's all okay to do that. Because if you set those boundaries out from day one with your clients, there's no disappointment. There's no, oh, well, she didn't respond, because the understanding is there. And that's on you. That is entirely on you to be able to set that up. And the more that you work to your own schedule and set these boundaries and set the days when you're working, the more you are prioritizing your own happiness. There's no guilt involved, because you feel like you should always be on, you should always be responding to stuff, because nobody's expecting you to. It's great. It just takes something off your plate and takes guilt off your plate and allows room for happiness. And we like that. Another way that I would prioritize your happiness is to plan ahead. That's not to say that you're planning when you're going to be happy or not. This is about planning your year and then planning backwards from that. So if you decide what your yearly goal is, your big vision, your big mission, the thing that you really, really want. And in 2023, my big yearly goal is to go away for 3 weeks at Christmas. This is something that my husband and I have discussed, and something that we would really like to do. And it's going to take some implementation, that not just in terms of having the funds to be able to do what we want to do, because, I like the finer things in life, so it won't be a cheap trip. But that's my yearly goal, that I can visualize, that I can imagine how it's going to be. I can really kind of step into the feeling of that. And that's a fantastic goal for me. And so I can work back from that in terms of blocking out the time. So I know that there'll be 3 weeks in December/January when I won't be working in the same way. I will still be able to provide my Voxer support to my clients, because that's a totally transferable thing, which is brilliant. But I won't be creating content. Everything will need to be pre-planned. I won't be available for client calls, so I need to make sure that everything is set up in advance so that they still get the support that they need over that period. I know that my podcasts won't be recorded during that time, so I need to batch everything beforehand. So if you decide on things like that you can plan your year accordingly. So by factoring in the time that you want off in the year and just blocking it out on a calendar gives you a much clearer framework for when you can actually work and when you can't, and what you need to do before you take this time off. And it's really unrealistic to think that you're going to work for a whole year without time off. I mean, why on earth would you want to? Because this is your own business, right? So why on earth would you want to do that? But if you think, well, there's 52, if you think of your financial goal for the year and you think, right, well, there's 52 weeks in the year. So if I divide whatever figure, 50,000, 100,000, if you divide that by 52, that's how much I need to make a week. It does not work like that, because there will be weeks, 4, 5, 6 weeks in a year when you actually don't work because of sickness, because of beautiful holidays, because of time off, because of life. Okay. So you have to plan everything in like that. And it's a great idea if you do that as early as possible in the year, because then be that the calendar year or your financial year, because then kind of where you're at. And I have a wall chart up on my wall, and it's got these 3 weeks at Christmas blocked off, and it's got a couple of weeks in the summer, in June blocked off, and it's got all the things that I want to do throughout the year. So when my book was launched, I knew that the month before that was devoted to book launch stuff, and a couple of weeks after that was related to book available now stuff. And then the other events that I've got during the year, the kind of launches and freebies that I'm going to make available, are all factored in. So I know what I'm talking about and when, and that just takes a big load of pressure off, because you're not having to think. You're not sitting down every day going, what am I doing today? What am I talking about? It's all up there. And for me, I'm a very visual person, so I need a wall chart up on the wall. And then I've got finer detail in spreadsheets. But if I've got something up on the wall that I can see, I'm like, oh yeah, no, not doing anything then. I won't be here then. So what do I need to do in order to facilitate that? And that, if you set this gorgeous yearly goal, then you can set your quarterly plan, then your monthly plan, then your weekly plan backwards from that. And that planning ahead absolutely ensures that you're prioritizing your happiness, not just because you've got all that lovely time off to look forward to, the holidays that you're thinking about. It's that you are being structured in your work to allow you to have breathing space and to allow you to not be scrabbling around for stuff, and to stop that last minute panic that happens with things when you're not planned. And this is something I have to work really hard at, because I am a, let's say, fluid thinker who has a million ideas all the time and wants to go off and do the shiny stuff and wants to do the exciting things and wants to experiment and wants to let me create something new. But I have to stop myself doing that, because that is not me focusing on the thing that's going to get me towards my goal and my one message of one-to-one business coaching to help you to work less, earn more in the easiest way possible. That's my focus, and I know that that's my focus, and I'm really clear on what my focus is, and that's all through different versions of one-to-one coaching, like hourly, for a month, for a full day, or longer term 6, 9 or 12-month packages. Really super clear on that, really super happy with it, and it's doing what I love. Okay. And so to stop myself thinking, maybe I'll just launch a mini group program because I've had this brilliant idea. More about that in my book, Life in Business, if you want to get yourself a copy of that and learn from my own experiences. Having the wall planner and having it all laid out like that, I find incredibly helpful, and particularly factoring these holidays. Never forget about them. And then let's talk about a really simple way that you can make yourself super happy, just maybe even on a daily basis. That's to reward yourself for all the fabulous things you've achieved. It's a way of making sure that you're enjoying the journey, because this big goal that you've got for this year, my 3 weeks off at Christmas and New Year, my 3 weeks away, that is me achieving that particular goal, but it's a long time until that happens, right? So the journey to get there is as important as the getting there, because this is your day-to-day running of a business. This is you being your super duper business owner self. This is about the you that puts in all the time and effort to manifest the big vision and the big goal at the end of your year. So what can you do to reward yourself for every achievement along the way? You can give yourself a little score system. You know, like when you go to the dentist, I mean, it doesn't happen now because I'm in my 40s, but I wish it still did. But when you go to the dentist and you are given a sticker, that to me always made me super happy. And I was so sad that you don't get that when you're in your 40s. Because that's a little reward, right? It's a little reward for having been brave and having really clean teeth and stuff like this. It's silly, but it's the kind of thing that makes me really, really happy. So what can you do to emulate that kind of feeling? If you've achieved your goal for the day, how can you reward yourself? It could be you have a glass of fizz. But if you're doing it every day, then maybe that's too often, okay? But it could be that when you've done something really great, you open a little half bottle of champagne to celebrate. It could be if you've achieved a monthly goal because you've worked backwards, you've done your yearly goal, and then you've set yourself quarterly and monthly step goals to get there. It could be when you've achieved your monthly one, you take a day off and you go for a walk in the countryside. It could be that you book yourself a spa day. It could be that you buy yourself a new pair of shoes. It could be that you have a full bottle of champagne, all on your own while sitting in the bath. But it doesn't always have to be a financial reward. You don't always have to buy yourself something. It's whatever motivates you, okay? Whatever feels special to you. But giving yourself these mini awards, the equivalent of a sticker from the dentist, is just a way of celebrating and acknowledging this particular thing that you've achieved. And it's lovely. It's such a lovely thing, because when you work for yourself, you don't have the team, the boss, whoever to say, well done, guys. You don't have the boss buying the pizza for everybody to say thanks to the team, because you are the boss and you are the team. So implementing some, silly little, funny little something that means something to you reward scheme is just such a nice way to do things, and it's a little motivator, and it's just such a gorgeous way to run your business and to make yourself happy. Could be that you buy yourself a different colour of post-it notes when you've done something. Not more notebooks though, because I know that you don't need any more notebooks. Okay, I know that you don't need any more notebooks. But buy yourself a new plant, whatever it is, something small or something big, but something that means something to you and something that's going to make you smile and something that's entirely personal. And also document your successes. You can write this in one of your many notebooks. You can write things I have achieved today and just write a list. Write it in notes in your phone. Put it on a little piece of paper and put it in a jar that you're going to read at the end of each month or the end of the year, a little jar of memories. Something that documents how you're doing, because we do so often lose sight of the journey when we're in business. And the journey is part of the everything. The journey is how you become the person you are today, how you're going to become the person that you are next week, and where you are in your business at the end of the year. And that journey cannot be underestimated in terms of how important it is. So document it, write it down. One thing that's interesting is that recently I've got a couple of tiny little notebooks in my bedside cabinet, and they've been there forever. They're like emergency books if I wake up in the middle of the night to write notes about things. And I use them extremely rarely. In fact, I don't think I've used any of them for years, actually. But I thought, I'll just have a look in these notebooks. And one of the things, the first page in one of these little tiny notebooks was record podcast. Now, I didn't know when I'd written this, but I looked on the next page and there was something that was written that I knew I'd done years and years ago. And then there was a date, which was early 2014. Now, I think I must have written this note at some point towards the end of 2013, given all the other notes that were around it. I launched my podcast in December 2022. So it was at least 9 years after writing Record Podcast that I actually started recording my podcast. And if you listen to episode 1, you will hear more about my journey to actually getting here to putting life in business out there as a podcast. But I kind of, why I'm saying this is it's about the journey is so important, and my record of how I got here on the journey from saying record podcast to actually recording the podcast and launching the podcast was massive. And so documenting that journey along the way, a lot of which is in my book, actually, Life in Business, which you can get hold of now, is, the journey might be 9 years, 10 years, however long. But if you're documenting your successes and recording your journey along the way, it's so important to do that. And I had a little celebration when I saw this note and then knew that I'd launched it. I was like, yes, I'm going to reward myself for that because I've done it. It's taken me 9 years, but I've done it. And that's great. And acknowledging that and adding some humour into that and noting how happy that makes you feel is just flipping great. Really just great. Rather than thinking, Christ, it took me 9 years to do that. What a loser I am. What a failure I am. How is that prioritising happiness? It's not. It's really nasty, negative self-talk. And we do not need that. So instead of it, I laughed out loud. That's what I did instead. And I sent a photo of the note to my beautiful podcast producer, Rosemary, from Too Busy to Podcast, to say, ha, Gold Smash did it. And we joked. We joked about it. But I chose to see that as a real thing to celebrate and a real, yay, I've done it moment, instead of, well, what the bloody hell were you doing for 9 years? And so reframing things in your mind and celebrating these milestones is just such a gorgeous way that you can run your business, and you can prioritize your happiness by being kind to yourself and by taking note of your happiness. And the more you take note of your happiness every single day, what's made you happy today? What are you proud of today? The more you take note of your happiness, the happier you will be. And the happier you are, the more clients you'll get, because happiness is infectious. It's a really simple equation, but all this stuff starts with you and how you feel inside and how you treat yourself and how you work to your own schedule, how you plan ahead and how you reward yourself for what you've achieved. So there you are. Today, ask yourself, are you prioritizing happiness? I would love to know how you are prioritizing your happiness today and how you choose to do this overall in your business, and what's been really useful for you today in today's podcast episode. So as ever, I love to hear from you. So DM me on Instagram at Libby Langley. And if you want to get more depth and detail on this, then my book, Life in Business, is available at libbylangley.com/book, and it'll help you to work less, earn more, and embrace true happiness in your business. Thanks for joining me today. Always love being in your ears, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to Life in Business. Please make sure you subscribe or follow so you don't miss any future episodes. If you enjoyed today's show, please leave a review, as it helps others to find the podcast and spread the word that there is an easier way to do business. If you want to chat with me about today's episode or suggest a topic for the future, I'd love to hear from you. You can find me on Instagram at Libby Langley. See you next week.